This is Richard Cowan with the 420 Marijuana Headline News for May 30th, 2025. It's 420. Do you know where your freedom is? Amsterdam and London, the tale of two cities. With apologies to Charles Dickens, I need to borrow the opening line from his most famous novel, but in the present tense. It's the best of times, it's the worst of times. Yesterday, the London Drug Commission, authorized by the Mayor of London, Sir Sadiq Khan, published its report recommending that the possession of small amounts of cannabis be decriminalized. Essentially, the justification for this revolutionary, extraordinary, radical, unprecedented, unheard of, unbelievable, expialidocious recommendation is that arresting mostly young black men aggravates racial tensions and wastes police resources. Thank goodness that never happened in America. Actually, black Americans are arrested for violating marijuana possession laws at nearly 4 times the rates of white Americans, yet both consume marijuana at roughly the same rates. This is according to a report from Normal. Frankly, I'm not optimistic about any changes in the UK because in the year 2000, I reported the complete intellectual and moral bankruptcy of the UK cannabis policies. This is from the Daily Mail, big tabloid. Employed as drug czar, he says that cannabis does not lead to harder drugs. Critics rounded on Blair's £106,000 a year advisor, Keith Hillwell, the governor's drug czar, was condemned yesterday after claiming that cannabis use did not lead to heroin abuse. Where's my syringe? The former constable's comment in a newspaper interview came in the wake of a report which revealed that Britain is the cannabis capital of Europe. Yeah. It fuels speculation that his 3-year contract as Whitehall's most highly paid advisor, £106,000 a year, may not be reviewed next year. Sometimes they fake me out. The Labour government has already made clear that it will not act on the Commission's advice, so I will believe it when I see it. In the meantime, the reason I referred to Amsterdam in the title is that the report actually has a section on the Dutch cannabis policy, which is excellent as far as it goes. But it stopped just as it was getting to the important point that de facto legalization of retail sales of cannabis actually works and did not destroy the country. Of course, in fairness to the Commission, it's only been working, that is, the cannabis policy, for a little over 49 years. This will be the 50th anniversary of the coffee shop system in December of this year. And by the way, it's not just in Amsterdam, but in almost every town in the country. Of course, this omission is hardly unique, and of all the absurdities of cannabis prohibition, nothing puzzled me more than the invisibility of the Netherlands. It's not some exotic land far, far away. To make matters even weirder, consider this from 1999. The 2 stories about Holland. UK police are taking British 16-year-olds to visit Dutch cannabis cafes as part of a drug education. I should add at that point that to get into a coffee shop then you only had to be 16. Now it's 18. And then a Dutch city is subsidizing work experience for unemployed coffee shops selling cannabis. Common sense. Although Amsterdam is famous for its red light district and, of course, its coffee shops that also sell coffee, the country ranks well below very prohibitionist countries like France in per capita cannabis consumption. And then the Netherlands always ranks in the top 10 countries that are best for raising families. Note that on this list, the Netherlands ranks second, while the United Kingdom ranks 18th. We wouldn't want to go Dutch, would we? Now, in fairness to the Commission and to the UK generally, they are hardly alone in being unable to find the Netherlands. Germany, which has a long border with the Netherlands, and where they recently legalized possession and private cultivation, seemed to have misplaced their maps and acted like they were doing something that had never been done before. Meanwhile, in Belgium, which is on the Netherlands southern border, adults over the age of 18 are allowed to possess up to 3 grams, which they buy in the Netherlands. So perhaps the UK should just go Belgium. Obviously, Maricon understands the difficulties in getting anything done, so he had to settle for the minimum. One would assume that he and the Commission Chairman, Lord Falconer, planned accordingly. Ironically, Lord Falconer is originally from Edinburgh, Scotland, which actually has one of the worst hard drug problems and the highest rate of teen cannabis use in all of Europe. But to make matters even more bizarre, this is a story from 1998. Meanwhile, in Scotland, senior Scottish law lord calls for a royal commission to study legalization of cannabis. And more calls for legalizing cannabis from the influential sources in Scotland and London. 1998. Because of stories like this, I was sometimes optimistic 20 years ago about cannabis reform in the UK, but not now. I say that the best two-word explanation for cannabis prohibition in the United States is bad journalism, but in the UK, I would need to exhaust a thesaurus even to begin to describe how utterly wretched the coverage is. I'll be following up with this story next week, but don't hold your breath unless you're vaping. This has been Richard Cowan at the 420 Marijuana Headline News. Thank you.